It's here. It's happening. We have Plastic Sisters of Battle and New Mechanicus and New Inquisition. Go take a look at the new Triumvirate of the Imperium. Spiky Bits. What's up, hobby maniacs? Welcome to a very special episode of Blossom. I mean, our unboxing videos here on Spiky Bits. Of course, we have new Plastic Sisters and friends and Imperial friends right here. Oh man, what an exciting time. This box set has been, I actually thought it was gonna be small, like something like this. It's like the full-on like black box kind of treatment, like it's a big super box of like, you know, a Lariel or, you know, the brand new Bloodthirster or something like that, or Lord of Change, like all those big guys that keep coming out. Nah, this is like an $80 box full of these brand new models. You get 5 models total, of course. You get Celestine and her 2 Gemini Twins, which apparently do have names, but we're just going to call them Gemini Yin Yang Twins for like the rest of the history of ever. Then you got Belisarius and, of course, Inquisitor Greyfax doing her Inquisition thing right there. Now, overall, the packaging is amazing. It's got like the sweet foil, the sweet graphics. I mean, everything about this says bling bling for sure. It is a collector's edition, of course, so if you got the collector bug, you got that GW collector chip in you, you are going to want to know that it has the little inset leaf kind of thing, right? Slide it out, and you got the collector's box, the Triumvirate of the Imperium in silver foil right there. Of course, on the back, you've got the fancy picture of the new major players in the Gathering Storm saga right there. Let's see which way is up. I don't know. We're gonna take a gamble. It's like plugging in a USB cable. 50% of the time, doesn't work. And I think I nailed it. So check this out too. It comes with a little art print right on top there. You get the little sweet. Let's zoom in on that. Give you a real feel for it. Get this sweet art print that comes with it with a little. It's got just a little black border around it, which I think is pretty neat. It's not full bleed, but it's still pretty cool. It's definitely not glossy cardstock paper, but it's autograph worthy for sure. You could get some of the artists or developers or something like that to sign off on this one. It would definitely look cool on a shelf or framed up somewhere without a doubt. Now, this is the little plastic kind of collector box type thing. We saw Karn came in something like this, a Lariel, all of the big named people that are a special release generally come in it, and of course the instructions are right underneath it, which right now are a little bit more important than the sprues themselves. So this is a fat manual here, and then you get another printout of the full art right there. So you flip this open, kind of get a feel for everything about these models. Now remember, clan packs are generally, they got all the like crazy computer splices and things like that, so it's not going to be an assembly that goes together. If you're new to these kind of collector type models, it's not going to be an assembly that goes together in a normal way that makes sense to you. But what does make sense is that a lot of the undercuts and the underhangs and the mold lines and things are going to be hidden, which is really neat. Through assemblies and through computer splices, they're basically going to be on top of each other and you're not going to see them, which is really cool. So if you do make a mistake clipping something out or shaving something down, it might not be as noticeable once you get the actual model together. So don't be discouraged because, you know, I mean, let's be honest, at the end of the day, you spend $80 on these models, you want them to look dope, you want to paint them all up and do your thing, right? So, you know, along that vein of thought, you've got a lot of that going on right here. And of course, remember, these things are color coded. You got variant assemblies. You can put different feet on different places, it looks like. The yellow is your planes, like how to line things up. Now this is a lot of pieces here. This is the expert assembly kind of thing with Belisarius here. And then he's got the pimp book. He's doing his little Captain Morgan stance on. A lot of stuff going on here. A lot of options. Weigh it out, dry fit. Don't rush through it. This looks like something that's very time intensive, but at the end can also be very rewarding. Now, if you're into doing things in sections, to paint them, to airbrush them, whatever, it doesn't look like this is going to be very advantageous to leave certain parts off to airbrush. You may want to leave these certain parts off just because it would give you a better opportunity to paint them separately before you glue them together with this one. It looks like this whole assembly up here basically hinges on this one mating point right here, as well as his cowl, which you could theoretically paint separate and do a sweet fade on, and then just go in and do the wire work and the metal work right there, right? So that's kind of what I'm feeling. And then back here, you've got all of the new data sheets for them, which you've already seen already, and then it skips over to Celestine again. Like I said, she's going to go together in a way that you're not exactly going to kind of wrap your head around at first, but then once you start seeing it, you're like, oh, okay, well, the mode lines are basically now, you know, the gaps and everything are slotted into little specific areas like the backs of greaves and underneath capes and tarps and things, and then it all starts to kind of make sense. Like, things just start getting hidden and underneath things, and then you're covering up pieces with other pieces, and then it's like, oh, okay. Obviously, the doves they look to be optional. Nope, that's a little piece, a slot there. You'd have to putty that over if you don't want to put the doves on her. Now, I do recommend if you are going to paint this thing separately, you paint the wings separately for sure right here, okay? So then you can go back and attach them, but you can also, once you attach them, if you're airbrushing, you can hit them with a fade, like right then and there. Like, just get that final fade over top of it. So you just fire up your airbrush one last time, hit your fade so it kind of brings it in to the backpack area itself. Now, this is a technique that may or may not work for you. Without the fades, without the contrast, will it look great for you? That's just a personal preference. But again, don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone. That's how we grow as hobbyists. And then once you get all the assembly together, boom, boom, bing, it goes right on the base. And then, of course, they're Gemini Twins. Look very similar and very easy to put together, very similar to Celestine herself. Doesn't look like you can keep the sword off very well, although I almost would rather paint it separately. Definitely paint the backpack separately for sure with some gold motif, and that would give you the ability to paint those robes a little different. And then it goes into the points for Celestine. And then Inquisitor Greyfax, obviously an easy assembly. She's just, after all, only human. Dun dun dun. There she is. And then some color guides and different things, how to paint them all and get all that great detail. And then boom, the artwork. So let's take a look at the miniatures themselves. So you get, let's start with Celestine and her Gemini Twins. So here they are. 3 sprues here. So she would basically be a model kit in and of herself. Of course, that great wingspan right there. There's her capes. The Seraphim Gemini bodyguard, got the separate backpacks, their sword arms, of course. You could leave off and paint them with a power weapon glow if you wanted, but I feel like the spacing is good enough that you could do that while attached as well. And just some great looking details. I mean, just what we've come to know and expect, knowing the lore and the look of Celestine. I think Games Workshop did a great job porting over the sisters themselves to plastics. And then we've got little itty bitty Greyfax. After all that, we got little bitty. Let's zoom in on her. I know we're gonna have to zoom back out to get to Belisarius, but there's Greyfax. So she's teeny, but not too teeny. Not like Malifaux teeny that she's very hard to work with. This is definitely heroic 28 scale teeny. She's got, I mean, what says Grimdark Battle? Like some heels. Gotta go into battle with high heels, right? And then there's her Condemner bolt gun and her backpack, of course. And that attaches right onto the top of that. And then her sword and her front. Where's her head? I can't see that little witch hunter head. Is that her head right there? My old people. I'm having old people fits. Wow, is that? How does that go together? It's all super spliced. Like I said, a lot of times these miniatures do not go together the way you would expect them to. You have to play around with it and be very careful when you're shaving off all the trim, because you don't want any pieces that would prohibit those crazy computer slices from parts going on top of each other and then obviously messing up your assembly. And then Belisarius, again, could have been his own kit in and of himself, but he isn't. He comes in the $80 Triumvirate, and there he is. Lots of ridiculous computer slices. Look at the size of this crazy axe. I mean, this thing is like straight bananas in my opinion. Like, this is a ginormous miniature. Of course, he comes on the large cavalry base. This is not the Dread Knight base. This is your large cavalry. Your bikes come on the slightly smaller one nowadays. This is the bigger size, the bigger version of that. I don't have any handy, but here's how it compares to a 32mm base. And of course, your 40mm Terminator base. So that should give you almost a better idea of how it's going to look. I believe the dimensions on this is 100 wide by, I want to say it's 70 something long. it's hard to keep all this track because there's a little cavalry base, a medium cavalry base, and now this is the large cavalry base. And of course, then it goes to Dread Knight and Imperial Knight. So the ovals are just getting ridiculous to keep track of. Not only do we have to keep track of circles, but now we have to keep track of ovals. I remember back in my day, we only had circles. Oh, it's a brave new hobby world out there, and it's super exciting times, and there is none as exciting time as there is right now with this brand new Triumvirate release of the Imperium, the instruction manual, the little art print. I mean, Games Workshop, they got the out-of-box experience on lock for the new collector sets, and I cannot say enough good things about this. I'm sure there'll be tons of live streaming over on Twitch. Make sure you check out the Spiky Bits TV over on Twitch, as well as the Long War Network, and tons of other great streamers on there pretty much 24/7 a day. When I'm up, they're on. When I'm going to sleep, they're on. There's always somebody to watch live on Twitch, including Warhammer World over there. So errors, omissions, clarifications, please leave your message in the comments field below, and we will try to get to them all.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.